people of the internet, and welcome to this speed paint video. I have not said that in ever, oh my gosh. So, hi, I'm back. I thought I'd take a little bit to talk about D&D characters, because I've realized as I've made videos on this channel, I mainly focus on things that have happened in stories and events, but I didn't really focus on any of the characters that much, and of course there's moments that happen that involve characters, yes, but I don't know, I just felt like making a little series of videos talking about my D&D characters, because whenever you make a character, there's always like some sort of attachment or connection with you, and it's this whole thing that like, if you've never made a D&D character before, I might sound like a psychopath, but and if you play D&D, I might sound like I do self-insert characters, which I don't. I try not to, and I think the closest thing to a self-insert I've had is just somebody that's accidentally turned into the mom friend of a party, but anyways, that's different. So I really was debating about whether to do the series or not, because there's some characters I have that I'm still playing, and I really don't want to spoil the fellow like players in those groups via these videos, because I mean, like, they could watch a video and be like, oh, so that's what happened in that one dream my character had no idea about, and although they wouldn't metagame, or at least most of the players I play with probably wouldn't, it's more surprising if they just don't know, and then I bring it up and they're like, what? Okay. So I thought I'd start off with a neutral character. And by a neutral character, I mean my one-shot backup character, and their name is Gertrude. Real quick before I get into this video that's mainly focused on the character and all this stuff, I want to take a minute to talk about the actual painting, because this is all traditional art and I have the luxury to go into details and stuff like that. I'll list everything in the description, but long story short, I painted it on Grumbacher watercolor paper, which honestly is not very good for watercolor paper, and I put a primer over it because I painted with gouache this entire time, which basically gouache is just opaque watercolor that has, like, I don't know, I think it has more pigment, less binder or something like that. But anyways, I used that to paint it, and I just used some random brushes I found, and for the gold bits I used a Kuretake watercolor that I like. So yeah, if you're wondering about any of that stuff, I'll put it in the description. Anyways, into things about this character I've made. So, Gertrude, they're my backup character. I made them, and I was hanging out with my little cousin, and I was just doodling, and I was like, I want to make a tiefling character. So this was like when I had just gotten into D&D, and I think I had like some big permanent markers, so I was just messing around with colors, and then my cousin went, oh, they look so cool, like, what's their name? Because they kind of looked like they could be whatever, and I was just like, I don't know, what's like a good name? And she went, Gertrude. So I was like, you know what? I like that name a lot. I like that name a lot because a funny thing I think I'll bring up at some point is the fact that all of my D&D characters so far have unintentionally had names with 5 letters or less, and I don't know why, except for Gertrude. So, basically I decided to name them Gertrude, and I also just thought the idea of a character going by them or not really caring about pronouns would be a fun thing. And I never really brought it up, I just always referred to them as they when I played them in a one-shot recently and when I played them previously, and eventually, I think it took like the second session, like more than halfway through, middle of a combat thing that was going on, and there was a stair mimic and fire horse and all this stuff, but they just kind of stopped and went, wait a minute, what are Gertrude's pronouns? Honestly, I like the idea of making a character like that, just because inclusivity, and also just putting some representation out there for people that may use they them pronouns. Although they I don't know if they're non-binary or gender fluid or whatever, they are my tiefling, and Gertrude is Gertrude. But yeah, basically they're my backup. So far, I haven't really had to use backup characters that much, but I've always had the idea of using Gertrude as a backup in the back of my mind. So like, anytime there's been like a character death or something like that, and Gertrude has existed, I'm like, do I play Gertrude or not? What will happen? So, talk about their backstory, because I mean, they're blue dabba-dee-dabba-die. So, originally when I drew them, I didn't know what class they were going to be. I was just like, I have a tiefling character, that's as far as I got so far. And I knew like, if I was going to play them in a campaign or a one-shot, I want it to like, fit a little bit. Because there's been times where there's been like campaigns, like there's a survival campaign, I might do a video on that character later, but I saw the scenario and I went, I'm not gonna play Gertrude in this because Gertrude's like a adventurer slash like kind of thug-ish, maybe. I didn't know at the time, but I knew for a fact that a survival scenario was not ideal. But eventually, after like a year of thinking, because I never had to use Gertrude, so I was just like, there's this concept in the back of my mind, it's always there, I decided to make them a rogue. I was really debating between a bard or a rogue, and if you scroll back on like some social media I have, you might see a really old reference photo of Gertrude with a violin or some sort of upper string instrument, because I was really considering them being a bard, because I liked the idea of like a charlatan, like, because kind of like cheating people out of money or being like sly and like confident and charming, and then also taking stuff and selling it for a profit. So I didn't know if that was going to fit better with bard or rogue. Eventually I chose rogue, and because I realized, wait a minute, there's a thief. I was like, yes, thief, that's gonna work, even though they aren't really like a normal thief. They'll just like take things either through adventuring, or what most likely happens is looting and accidental stealing, maybe, quote unquote. I also really like the idea of tieflings with jewelry on their horns. Partially was inspired a little bit by Molly Mock, because around the time I came up with this idea, I think it's when the Molly thing happened in like episode 21-ish of Critical Role. Not going to say what because of spoilers, but like around that time, you know what happened. So my brain was being my brain for a little bit. I haven't written out a like complete backstory of them, but some things I can for sure say about Gertrude. They were raised in a house, and I'd imagine they were adopted, just because of that. But they could have tiefling parents. I'm not sure. I haven't written that much out. But they were raised basically with the mindset of, we've built our career, you're living a luxurious life, you should build it the same way we did. And the way that their parents, regardless if it's adopted or birth parents, have not decided yet, built their career was stealing, pawning, finding things from adventuring, looting, and doing that, and then eventually hid that under the carpet and gained wealth. So Gertrude's whole mission is basically get enough wealth to secure a secure financial thing going on, like make sure they can live like a stable life, you know? And like, of course they do enjoy adventuring, which is why they're a D&D character, for crying out loud. But yeah, now you see why it's a little bit more of a one-shot character, because if it's a campaign character, if I play Gertrude in a campaign, which hopefully will be told somewhere on social media, then I definitely would change the backstory, because A, I'd be playing them differently, and B, it would be for a full-on campaign, not just a one-shot, because that's very much a one-shot background of like, I want money, and I like money. Also, another thing I realized about Gertrude after playing them in a one-shot is, I don't know how to explain it, like, you know when just somebody's doing something to be funny, but could easily be avoided because that funny thing causes pain, sort of? Like, I don't know how to describe it, but what I'm trying to describe is one scenario that's one of many. Or, for example, we were playing a one-shot, and if you know Flying Fox Girl, aka Cade, on YouTube, her character Kavi was also played in this one-shot, and Kavi got picked up and carried for like 4.5 hours. And the entire time Gertrude was just questioning, not persistently, but like they were walking into the room and Kavi was disguised and there was somebody whistling and it was a whole thing, and then Gertrude was just yelling, being like, why the fuck have you been carried for 4.5 hours? The blood's gone to your head, like, are you okay? Like, basically checking up, like, what are you doing? So, I mean, Kavi was Kavi, if you know any Cade stuff, which you should. They've kind of turned into somebody that's, like, making sure everyone's okay, but also is independent. So, like, hey, don't do that if you're gonna hurt yourself majorly, but at the same time, yeah, just don't die. Just don't. Try not to die, but not being like a mom friend. And I'm saying that because I do have characters that have turned into a mom friend a little bit. But that's just because those were like my first D&D characters, and that was my natural tendency for the people I played with. And now that I've played D&D for, how long have I played? I think about 4 years or so, maybe? 3 years-ish? I've started playing when D&D 5e started getting a little bit more popular, like in the middle of it blowing up again. I'm kind of a newbie in that regard compared to some people who've been playing for like 20-something years, which luckily it's a game that you can do that, and then I just seem like a baby. But some people might hear that and be like, wow, you've played for a long time, that's awesome. Even though there's still some rules I do not understand. But that's just me. I didn't read the rule book. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm playing along, and then I watched Critical Role, and I'm like, I know some rules now. Anyways, that's my little Gertrude thing. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, a big thing also about Gertrude I forgot to mention before. I really wanted to make a blue tiefling, because like blue and green tieflings are not used as much as like the other colors. Also because the handbook says all the warm colors and like white and black, but like not blue and green. I don't know, I just felt like making a teal tiefling. Another reason why I wanted to make a tiefling character is because before I knew D&D, I thought demons were fun to draw, and then when I found out that like the quote-unquote demons I was drawing is basically just a tiefling from D&D, I was like, oh my gosh. But yes, I think that's where I'm going to end this voiceover. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this painting happen and come to life, and I hope you enjoyed my tiny little voiceover about Gertrude. I feel like I'm gonna probably do the next one on Miri, just because she actually was a character on this channel before, and maybe Rio after that, just because they were on the channel and I didn't talk about them, but those were my first 2 real D&D characters. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. You can join my Discord server if you feel like it. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. And like I've accidentally said at the end of a bunch of my videos, don't forget to hydrate. That's not my outro, but like, I don't know what my proper outro is. I talk and I ramble and people enjoy it sometimes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the art. Hope you enjoyed my rambles. And I will see you in my next artsy video of sorts. Bye! I don't know what to put at the end of this video as a secret thing, so just, Tori, you should edit in, what should I edit in? What do I edit into the end of this video as a surprise for people that watch to the end? Because all my videos have this, but now I'm questioning what I do. Maybe it's a very wise-looking cat, or a wise-looking rat, or a snake in a top hat. Now you have seen them. Have a good day. Wow, I sounded like Dr. Seuss. Okay. Oh my god, I rhymed!